killing myself with the food I eat, toxic to my health, till I got the news. There's another path that I could choose. And now
welcome to the new Health Conversation television show, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. We are streaming live at ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com as well as Channel 56 on Comcast. And I'm your host and moderator, Coach Steve Toth, and I'm here with Peter Greenlaw, as always, known as the world's most prominent health investigative scientist. What a great title you have.
I didn't make
How do I
up.
get one of those? Okay, so our theme today is very interesting. Our theme today is how do you get from a personal trainer to become the trainer to the stars in Hollywood? What a great subject, huh?
Awesome.
Let's find out all about it. Our guest today is Mark Jenkins.
Jenkins,
I'm sorry.
Right.
Trainer to the stars. And he is a high-profile personal trainer. And I just want to mention some of the people that he has worked with. Again, this is just a short list. Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, P. Diddy, Tyler Perry, L.A. Reid, and I'm sure the list goes on. Welcome to the show. He's joining us from New York.
Hey, great to be here. How's it going?
It's good to have you. It's going really great. Let's begin the show with just tell our viewers a little bit about you, like a little bit about your history. Don't start at birth. Just skip a few years.
Okay.
But
okay.
Tell us a little bit about how did you get to where you are today, and what was your life like when you were a teenager?
Life as a teenager, I was overweight. I was an overweight kid. My dad died when I was 2, so my mom raised us, and she sent my sister and I to dancing school. So I actually tap, jazz, ballet, modern, like 7, 8 years. But then I realized that wasn't the healthiest move in Brooklyn growing up, so I stopped dancing. And unbeknownst to me, that was what was keeping my weight off. So then, typical West Indian diet. I'm from Antigua.
How much overweight were you, if I may ask?
Gosh, I might have been like 240 around there at 17.
Oh, wow. At what age?
17, 45
17.
inch waist.
Okay. So I just wanted to connect to that because, we have an epidemic, right, in our schools today.
Absolutely.
That I think 60+% of our youth is having this issue, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, I know. Through our nonprofit, we're in the school systems in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. So I work with these kids on a regular basis, and that's even in middle school. It's almost epidemic. There are a lot of children on insulin, diabetic children. Middle school, grade school. It's definitely globesity. That's what they're calling it right now.
Yeah. So what happened? So how did you get on this new path?
As I was running home from school one day, it dawned on me I wasn't going to survive, being out of shape in Brooklyn. So I said, you know what, I'll join the military. And I went to the recruiter and I tested real high on the test. And the guy from the Navy, he saw I was a fat kid, so he said, they got McDonald's on the aircraft carrier. And I was like, really? For real? And he was like, yeah, join the Navy. So, I joined the Navy because he said they had McDonald's on the aircraft carrier. So I joined the Navy, and luckily for me, because if it was the Army or the Marines, I probably wouldn't have made it because I was so out of shape at the time. But I barely made it through the Navy boot camp, which is a fairly easy boot camp. If you ask anybody, it's only 8 weeks, where everybody else's is much longer. But I barely made it through. I got to my station, and I saw this big buff guy, and I was like, hey, man, I want to look like you. Can I train? Can I work out with you? And he was like, I'm doing anti-terrorism, and I'm this and that. And I was like, I just want to see my feet in the shower. Anything you tell me to do. And I trained with these guys for like a year and a half, maybe a year. And, I ended up, at the end of the year, 250 pounds with a 29-inch waist, 32-inch legs, 22-inch arms, like huge, and it was a life-changing thing for me. I was able to get girls, and, I had a desk job in the military, so it was very empowering, And then I had a friend of mine who's going to get kicked out of the military because he was overweight, because if you do reach a certain body fat percentage, they have to get you out. I said, dude, I'll just show you what the the guy showed me to get in shape. And he got in such good shape, they put me in charge of most of the overweight guys in the military I was training. So, I did the Gulf War. I did the Persian Gulf War and finished that. I got out the military in 92. And I was like, okay, I get a job in the post office and go to college because the time continues. But in the post office, they kept giving me extra mail because I was so much more muscular than everybody else. So I went to my gym manager. I said, hey, man, this is size discrimination, man. I'm getting paid the same money, but they're giving me more and more trucks to break down than everybody else. This is size discrimination. It's not right. He said, you know what, Mark? You're so cool. I'll give you a job, right, in the gym. So, I quit the post office for a big pay cut, and I took a job in this gym if you're familiar with New York, it's on 8th Avenue and 50th Street between 8th and 9th, Worldwide Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
But,
that's an interesting place at night.
Yeah. So, unbeknownst to me, I started training people there, and I was really happy to do something that I had done for years, and that you get this instant gratification when you see somebody's body changing. So it's an awesome job to have. So I was happy doing that, but I wasn't happy with the money. But I was happy doing what I was doing, and I started to realize, it dawned on me that I had one lady I got 300, maybe 100 pounds off of, and she happened to be Brandy's publicist, and she was like, hey, why don't you train Brandy, the recording artist? And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, man, how much do you charge? And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just charge $70 for the hour. I was like, oh, that's big money. And she said, okay. So I trained Brandy for like maybe 10 sessions, and then she got the TV show Moesha, and she took off to California. But the spark was in my mind. I was like, hey, man, if I get a couple of recording artists, I could really make a living. Because I figured if I can get 10 clients at $70, I was making $700 a day. So that was it. I was going to try to get these 10 celebrity clients. So the Bally's, unbeknownst to me, was Disney was at the building right next to it. Motown was the building right next to it, and a couple of other record companies. So everybody who was coming to this gym happened to be a record executive. So, I started using what I learned in the military. I said, if I start targeting these record executives, eventually I'll be able to get to the artist and really turn this into a business. So anybody I saw who had a good suit on, I trained them. I offered to train them. If they said no, I offered to train them for free if I can get a free lunch. And then I just asked them how to start a business, So they would, just give me, hey, you need to get a publicist. You need to get this person. You need to get that person. And they would tell me how to start a business, my clients. And then my big opportunity came with D'Angelo. I was training his publicist, and he was a real skinny guy, and I was able to put like 25 pounds of mass on him fairly quickly, to the point where D'Angelo noticed. And then he was like, D'Angelo wants you to train him. Can you do it for this video? We're getting ready to do this big project. It's this great album. It's going to be incredible, but he needs to get in shape.
Did you have to check your schedule and see if you could fit him in?
No, not at all.
I'm kidding. But I think, please, for the audience, let them, know who D'Angelo is. Because, I think you told me he's one of, isn't one of his records one of the top 100 of all time or
top
something?
Top 100 of all time. I think he's top 20, top 15 Rolling Stone greatest live performers of all time. I think he has like 3 or 4 Grammys. He's like a younger, I hate to liken him to anybody, but as far as playing every instrument, like a Prince type of guy. But,
so continue, because I think it's important the audience understands who this was. So this was an enormous break for you.
This was an enormous opportunity, and they wanted him to get in shape within a certain amount of time because they had to shoot and film videos. And I didn't really know too much about it, so I went to one of my clients who was a head executive at Joseph Abood, and I said, "Hey, man," I think this is it. What should I do? How much should I charge him? He goes, you should ask for $30,000 for the month. And I was like, really?
This is so good.
Real? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, trust me. But just tell them that if they're not happy with the results, you'll give them the money back. And I said, are you sure this is going to work? He goes, trust me, man, I do this all the time. So, I go to Motown and I say, hey, man, it's going to take me $30,000 to get this done straight face for a month, And they gave me the money. I couldn't believe it. I was totally shocked. And at the time, to tell you, what was going. I was training so many people for free. I was living in the Fort Greene projects, And to stay in shape, I just lived off of mackerel, frozen vegetables, and brown rice. So that was my meal every day. So this is what was going on at the time. Wow. So to get $30,000, you know,
so you weren't exactly rolling like on Park Avenue. I mean, you were living in the projects, right?
Yeah, I was in the projects, struggling, chasing the dream. But I knew that if I trained enough artists and got enough exposure for free, what was going to happen. So I was always there, like, you know, this was just part of what I learned in the military, you know.
So how did that feel, Mark, when you had that check? How did that feel?
I felt like shopping. I felt like shopping.
Did you go out to dinner?
Like, wow, you know, it actually worked. I told the guy who gave me the advice, and he was like, yeah, but now you have to get him in shape where you're going to have to give the money back. And so
don't do too much shopping.
I incorporated myself. I did everything the guy told me to do. I incorporated myself. I got a publicist. I quit the job that I was working at, and I made sure that I followed D'Angelo everywhere he went. Anytime he tried to eat something unhealthy, I took it. I just made him my full-time job, and I was outside of his hotel room, so he couldn't even put any food in there.
I'm really curious about that, Mark. Like, I was thinking about this since yesterday. It's like you working with all these people with huge egos, right?
Right.
How do you make them listen to you? Like, is it in your contract that if they don't do what you tell them to do, then the deal is done, off?
No, I think with artists, it's definitely the vibration. You and the artist have to vibe on a certain level. And I think because they actually know that I'm, you know, running 10 miles a day, then jiu-jitsu after that, then lifting weights, and I'm really living it, you know, out of respect, they execute. So it's a combination of the two. They have to feel you a little bit, and you have to have a certain level of authenticity.
So you bring your own leadership to the game, right? Because
right,
I mean,
right.
they can just look at you and they go,
by example.
There's no questions. They know that you know how to do this because you're doing it for you.
Yeah, and we do a mandatory road work day where we run together. So, you know, and I think that's important because you bond if you're training together with your client. So that's something that I do with every client that's mandatory. We do one day where we run together, box together, we do something together.
Well, one thing that I will say, Mark, for your benefit, Steve, because I've had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Mark, and he's so inspirational because he was so committed to a different life. I mean, he was in the post office, had a pretty good job. He basically abandoned all that, goes and lives in the projects to make his dream come true. And his dream has come true. I mean, working with people, I mean, he just makes it like it's no big deal. And it's like I'm sitting there like going like, really? I mean, this is unbelievable that someone had that kind of dedication. And of course, the cool thing is he's delivered. I mean, what he's doing with his clients is off the charts, you know.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so share with us maybe the greatest experience that you have had with these stars. Do you have one that stands out from all of them?
Well, one was definitely raising $2 million for the public school system with Puffy, with P. Diddy. We ran the New York City Marathon and raised $2 million for the public school system. So that was awesome. That was a good one. That was one of the best. But I guess the greatest stories, though, are most of the regular folk I train. I had this one guy, he slipped in the snow and he put his hands out to catch himself. He broke both his arms. And it took him a whole year to be able to get full mobility. And that was one that I worked on with him. And that was very rewarding. So, but it wasn't a celebrity, just a regular person. Stuff like that, though. Taking a woman through a pregnancy, that's always awesome. Getting her back in shape after the baby, you know, going full circle, stuff like that. So it's not always celebrity, you know, driven, the great experiences. That's what's so cool about training. And you learn so much about each client, you know, and you learn about yourself. It's such an educational experience.
So for each of your clients, do you customize your training to whatever they need, or do you have basically a standard system that you take them through?
Well, you know, these artists have all kinds of requests. So they want to do this, they want to look like that, they want to look like this person, they want to look like that person. Sometimes I'm speaking to a designer who's designing the dress for the artist. You know, it all depends on the situation. Like a lot of times around Cannes Film Festival time, I have a lot of ladies I'm getting ready for to be in shape to wear the gowns, you know, so stuff like that. So a little bit of what they want and a little bit of what I see them doing, because a lot of times they just don't have the body type to get what they want, but you can always accentuate what you have, you know?
Well, one thing, Steve, that's really cool, Mark's now working on a movie. Now, what so impressed me was, I mean, most people think about gyms. You go to the gym and it's like you're going to lift weights and do cardio. What Mark has developed is what is called the Mark Jenkins protocol. And what he does, the way he explained it to me, he does all these different disciplines. I mean, Mark, just go over that a little bit again for our audience so they get some feel for why you've been so successful in these unique programs that you've designed kind of for yourself that you've also been able to use with your artists and also with just regular people. But my experience of you is that their experience working with you is completely different than what most people would think of when they go to a gym.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate in the fact that, I've been able to have access to some very big budgets, you get a certain amount allotted to get the person in shape. And I've been able to get like a lot of the best teachers, the best instructors, the best equipment, for over a span of 20 years now. I started training in New York City in 92, and it's now, 2014. So, all that information I've been able to compile into, 4 or 5 different aspects that I think are important to total development. Because it's easy to get someone in shape, but you want to make it sustainable, and I think that's the key is how do you turn it into a lifestyle? How do you keep somebody continually inspired to stay in shape and to keep going after they get the results?
Well, what are some of the things that you do, Mark, that are so unique, that aren't, your typical, let's go to the gym and pump iron?
I don't know if they're so unique, but I don't know. I just don't think
you're being humble. I think they're really unique.
I think the meditation visualization aspect is very important because, the body follows the mind. So I think you visualizing what you want your body to look like, what you want your life to look like, your meals during the day, how you're going to stay focused on eating healthy. I think things like that, before you even do anything, before you even get out of bed, I think the visualization part is very important, training your subconscious mind. Yeah. So the visualization meditation, I would say numero uno. I think I get my clients on some type of regimen where they're doing visualization exercises every day, daily. And, we have a certain aesthetic factor. Some clients training for movies, some training on stage. And you have to keep in mind, when people are viewing people from the stage, they're looking up. So you have to accentuate certain body parts because most people are looking up to give it the effect that you want. So, that's my job. So I critique the body type, the aesthetic, the symmetry of the person. But for them to make it sustainable, I try to find an activity that they like to do. So in this process, we're turning them onto a sport, whatever they like to do. We experiment, we go to classes, we get instructors from other, and that's the great experience about, the way I do it. I'm always exposed to like top instructors, so top jiu-jitsu guys, top Krav Maga instructors. And then we have the cardiovascular aspect. So, it's a whole system with different days, with different activities, different exercises, and it keeps the person stimulated, but it shows them how to make it into a lifestyle, and with them finding an activity they like, then they have a purpose to train. It's not just a superficial thing, and I think that's the biggest thing is for it not to be. The superficial benefit is, 5 or 6 on the scale, but the real importance is your health, and being able to transmit and receive energy with an efficient vessel. That's the most important part.
Yeah, awesome. So I looked at the book that you wrote back in, when was it, 2005 when that was released?
2005.
Yeah, and I looked at your picture on there, and I looked at you today. I mean, you transformed yourself.
Again.
In 10 years. Oh, my God, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, I've been picking it up, trying to get in better shape, trying to put some more symmetry together, trying to get a little harder, more definition, trying to get better function, trying to get faster, once I think that as a trainer, once you lose the hunger to train and to get better, that's when it's difficult to train people because then, it's not coming from a place, they're not getting that same inspiration from you as somebody who's really hungry doing it. So that's when I quit, when I'm not really hitting it hard or trying to get better anymore.
Well, Mark, share with us a typical day, because you blow my mind with what you do every day. It's because you have to be in shape, even more so, obviously, than your clients, because you have to fit your own workout and routines into working them out. So just give us a preview of what, a kind of a typical day, your workouts on top of working your clients out. Like what time you start in the morning on a typical day and what you do first. I think that's fascinating.
My usual, I try to do something for myself before I get to work. But sometimes, I just have 6 o'clock sessions and 7 o'clock sessions. I can't get up that early because I work. I train like business people and professionals and CEOs in the morning, and I train artists late at night. So, I'm always catching naps trying to get my 8 hours in the course of the day.
Is that because they're sleeping in the morning?
Yeah, the artists, they don't get out the studio. Yeah, they're sleeping all morning long.
Because that was going to be one of my questions, but I gave it up earlier. Is how do you get people, these entertainers, to get up in the morning?
They don't.
I guess you don't.
They start in the afternoon. Their morning is like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
What time is their morning?
Their morning is at 2 or 3 o'clock in the
2
afternoon.
or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
However, Mary gets up, though. We train early in the morning. Mary J. Blige, she gets up.
Now, but again, to answer my question, walk us through what you do, because it's pretty
what do I do?
daunting.
Okay, so if I can get up early enough, I'll do 7 to 10 mile run at maybe no slower than maybe an 8 minute, 8:15. Hopefully I try to keep it sub 8s. So I bang out that, and then I usually do yoga immediately. Do 45 minutes yoga once I get into the house from the run, and then I go off to work. And then I might do some jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or Krav Maga for an hour. I have my own instructors who get me ready, beat me up. They go, "Oh, you're a Hollywood trainer. Keep going, keep going." Got my guys to ride me. And then weights. I usually hit the weights after that in the evening, a typical day. And then I got my running and my training and my sessions with my clients as well.
Now, what about your jump?
Usually 2 to 3 workouts a day.
Mark, you forgot your jump roping.
Oh, or I jump rope. Either I run 10 miles or I jump rope for an hour.
and his jumping rope is completely out of control.
4 hour nonstop.
1 hour nonstop jumping rope. You ever try to jump rope for an hour?
Hell no.
No?
Hey, Mark, so if I don't ask this question, I'm going to get lots of emails from guys.
Right.
Okay, so you probably know this, that a lot of guys want to know the secret to, how do you get a six-pack? In your case, it's an 8. But let's just talk about a six-pack. What's the secret to getting one of those?
Everybody has one. It's just it's covered with a layer, so you just have to you have to cut that body fat down. It's there for everybody, so you don't really need to develop it. You just need to make it visible.
Okay.
So you have to.
What's the secret? How do you do it?
It's a combination of diet, exercise, and proper nutrition. It's key. Because that doesn't happen unless you're nutrition. I think nutrition is the most important aspect of that.
Well, Mark, that brings me, kind of my next question, self-fulfilling, but, you and I met a couple of months ago, and I was proposing, these new nutritional technologies and what I'd done, and I gave you my book, you read my book, and I would say, not that you were just skeptical, but because it's so important to your business, you certainly don't want to go recommending anything to your clients, in this case, when you're talking about those kind of contracts. So
yeah, absolutely. I took the meeting with Peter. I had a friend of mine with me, a business partner with me from the label, and and I get bombarded all the time with use this product, get your client, because they always want to get to my clients. So believe me, I got tons of stuff in my house that I never open up. I get bombarded. So one thing with Peter's book, I recognized a lot of the doctors that were involved in the studies and research. So that alone, got me interested and intrigued. And secondly, Peter knew what he was talking about, and just listening to him and listening to how passionate he was, I was like, you know what? And you know what, too? Peter was so confident. He was like, look, after I give you this for 30 days, you're going to be calling me back. This protocol, check it out. After you get this, you're gonna love it. It's gonna change your life. And I was like, gosh, this guy is so confident. I have to try it. He was so confident, and he was absolutely right.
Well, share with the audience. You started. Now, understand, Steve. He started at about 11% body fat.
I started at 11% body fat. I said, Peter, this is perfect because you know what? I have a photo shoot coming up within a month, so this is the perfect time. I'm gonna get on your protocol, and I'm going to do this shoot, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to put it to the test. Because I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm training. I'm doing all of this stuff every day, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. I really need nutritional support, so I'm going to put your product to the test. And I don't deviate, so I'm very rigid. I can follow a protocol fairly easily. I'm very disciplined in that aspect. And, sure enough, I just started getting leaner and leaner. And the biggest difference, because I've got that lean before, but my performance always went down. But my performance actually went up as I got leaner and as I got stronger and as I continued with the protocol. So I was totally blown away.
Did you, so what were your results, though? I mean, it was remarkable. Was it?
I must have got down, I think I was looking around like 5-6% body fat, and I was even more muscular than when I started. It was a really incredible transformation.
And that happened in less than a month for all the athletes that might be watching this today. And, the things that, we've talked about before on the show, Steve, I just turned them on to, New Zealand whey protein and, various things like that are available in the marketplace. But, of course, with his discipline, I never had anyone that was that disciplined. But to see him go from 11% body fat to 5 or 6% body fat in just a couple of weeks, I think it almost blew you away, did it not, Mark? That you and of course the photo shoot, we showed your 8-pack at the beginning of the show, and that was for that photo shoot. So that photograph that we used was at the end of 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
I was absolutely blown away at how lean I got, how strong I felt, how I wasn't depleted, how I had energy, how I was training even more. It just enabled me to recover a lot more, just detoxing, I would imagine. Just getting my body in a better place toxin-wise, I was able to perform better. Because, with all that training, you do create a lot of waste product.
Well, of course, the show, we've got up on the show right now, the T.I.D.O.S syndrome, toxicity, deficiency, being overweight, and stress. And so was it your first experience, though, really, with, say, being in a protocol where you were cleansing your body, or had you done cleanses before, but nothing like this? Or
I was always very hesitant of the cleanse because, for me, it's very important for me to maintain a certain amount of musculature. So, I know with typical cleanses, you lose as much fat muscle as you do fat, and ended up slowing your metabolism. So I liked the idea of cleansing, fasting, but I didn't like the idea of losing the muscle mass. And what's so great about your protocol is that you actually put on muscle as you detox,
So I think
and drop a tremendous amount of body fat, and you feel better.
Right, because I think that's the whole thing that the audience needs to get, especially if you're an athlete. What happens is, even if you think you're in tremendous shape like you were, Mark, the point is that you still had this sort of toxic fat that no amount of normal exercise or the protocols that you were using up to that point really were getting you to this kind of a point. And like you said, even though you'd done it before and maybe got down that lean, your performance went down, your lean muscle mass went down. What was so unique here was that you actually did the opposite of that. So obviously you trusted me, you had incredible results, and then I know you started to recommend it to some of your clients. So what are some of the things you've seen, maybe from just a normal person or an executive, and then also from some of your stars, that has really impressed you over the last couple months, now that you've sort of trusted me, and we're now introducing people to these alternatives that are out there, as far as like the whey protein from New Zealand and some things like that?
Right, absolutely. I got a friend of mine from the Navy, old Navy buddy. In fact, I told him about what I was doing, and he lost 14 inches. His wife lost 13 inches. They both lost, I think, 13 to 14 pounds. Incredible amounts of body fat loss. And he commented on the same thing. He goes, my 5, 10Ks are better than ever, man. I'm breaking records, stuff I hadn't done since I was in my 20s. The same exact experience I had. His performance went up, and his body fat went down, and he got more muscular at the same time. I gave some of my celebrity clients. I'm training 67-year-old Marina Abramovic. She's on the Times 100 most important people list right now. She's the only artist on there. Incredible performance artist, 67. She's dropped 13 pounds in 30 days, and the majority of it, because I'm taking her body fat percentage, 95% of it is body fat. She didn't lose any muscle. She actually put on muscle, So incredible. And she said the same thing. She goes, the doctor told me about my knees. I'd have to do something. My knees stopped hurting. I have so much more energy, the same. She's looking really, really incredible. So she's happy. At 67, her performance improved.
So needless to say, I've made you look good. I mean, you already are good.
But me look, right? I'm taking all the credit too. I said, well, of course, it's just something I came up with.
No, but don't you think that?
I thought of my own.
Right,
no, but absolutely, you're making me look great. So, I mean, because it's always, like I said, 10, 15 minutes ago, the nutritional aspect is even more important than the training, because you can have the proper training, You can have the right sequence of exercises. You can have the right exercise split. But if you can't recover from the training you're doing, it can put you deeper into the hole. You can gain body fat by training if you're in depleted catabolic state before you even start. So your protocol ensures the body's in an anabolic state, and you're detoxing so your body's performing better.
Yeah, so I want to take a moment and just, let's not assume that everybody that's watching knows what T.I.D.O.S is. Would you spend a few minutes just connecting those dots, the T, the D, the O, and the S?
Yeah.
I can find another person that would do it better than you.
Well, okay, for those that haven't seen one of our shows before, I have been researching for more than 12 years, as you know, and Mark knows now, and just about a year ago, I was sitting at my desk actually working on what I thought was my second book, and I just had this huge epiphany that I'd been talking about for, people considered me, at least my area of interest or expertise was on human toxicity, okay? That I've talked about that for 10 or 11 years. But what I began to see was this interconnectivity between toxins or toxicity, deficiency, meaning our food was not only just nutritionally deficient, but insufficient, okay? And those two things were leading to people being overweight, and the outcome of that was stress. Now, someone like Mark, obviously, when I first met him, I mean, the guy already looked like he was chiseled out of granite. He didn't need to lose weight. But as I think I impressed upon him, and I said to him, look, but you're still toxic. I don't care even if you do an organic. You are still nutritionally deficient. And those two things, at a minimum, cause stress in the body other than, life in general. So the T.I.D.O.S syndrome, which is toxicity, deficiency, being overweight, and stress, it's not them individually. It's the interconnectivity. You see, because our food is so nutritionally bankrupt, it allows toxins to run wild, because the body has the ability to naturally get rid of toxins, but not with the food that we're normally used to eating. What happened in the case of Mark, and I think why on this show it's so significant, is here's someone in world-class shape that simply by putting these nutrients that I've talked about before on this show that you can get, New Zealand whey protein, trace minerals, things like that his body literally transformed. What was happening is that this fat, that no matter how much he was working out, was staying there because it was storing toxins in it. And because, even though he was eating incredibly, still wasn't enough to trigger the body's natural ability to detox itself. So the T.I.D.O.S syndrome is the interconnectivity of those four: toxicity, deficiency, overweight, and stress. And by working together, they're undermining certainly our wellness potential, our ability, I believe, to live healthier longer, or in Mark's case, really maximizing his human potential. I mean, he's in the best shape, maybe of his better shape now than he was 20 years ago, incorporating what he knew about exercise physiology, but now combining some of these new protocols and ingredients that he wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I mean, my jaw dropped when I saw his picture, the one that he just made.
Right.
But I'm curious, Mark, what were you eating before you went on to the protocol, the T.I.D.O.S protocol?
My wife, she's a yoga instructor, so she gangstered me and made me go vegan in September. So I've been vegan since last September. She gave me no option, so I've been vegan since last September. And I've been pretty much following the vegan diet. I've been using vegan protein, and I still used a sort of a vegan protocol. I mixed it with Peter's thing, but I was really able to get a fantastic result. I couldn't, but I told her, I said, I have to try this whey. It's incredible. So the whey is really outstanding,
So, Mark, do you agree that T.I.D.O.S syndrome is real and it's really something that, again, I don't think you were aware of, or at least hadn't been presented to you in that way? And can you see now why, because you've attacked all four of those factors with toxicity and turning deficiency into abundance, you didn't have a weight problem, but also, you told me you're sleeping better, you have less. I mean, everything has changed. Not just dropping
I'm able to work. I'm better when I'm up. I'm more alert. I'm more present when I'm training my clients. I'm recovering. The soreness has diminished an incredible amount. And I'm pretty regimented with what I'm doing. So to notice if something works or not, it doesn't take too long for me. And I noticed that I was recovering a lot faster immediately. So you recover faster, you're able to train harder, and you're able to get better performance and get better results. So like nutrition, it couldn't be a better system as far as improving performance for athletes. And for everybody, because it works for my non-athletic clients and my athletic clients.
So would you say if I did anything, I simply made you aware of what was available outside of what you already knew, and you knew an awful lot, and obviously so at the point where we met, you were pretty much doing everything you thought you knew to get into peak performance.
Everything I thought I knew, and I'm constantly reading, trying to get better, trying to continue my education. So it's an ongoing process, and it evolves. But definitely, I thought I was doing everything until I bumped into you.
Well, be careful what you wish for sometimes, I suppose, right, Steve? That's what you tell me all the time.
Yeah. Well, can we spend just a moment on this vegan diet thing? Because I have a friend. I just went to breakfast with her last week, and I ordered the usual eggs and blah blah blah. You know what she ordered?
What?
Vegetables. Mm-hmm. So does that really, Peter? Does that really make a difference?
Well, here's what I would say. The thing about a vegan diet, or if you're going to get, and they're commercially available, a vegan shake, the problem, and hopefully Mark will agree with me this because I've kind of turned him on to something else, but most of the vegan shakes that you'll see out there have pea protein only. And the problem is that a pea protein will give you about 25 or 30% of the amino acids that we actually need that are that's what builds muscle in the body, okay? So if you're going to do a vegan protein, it must have more than one protein, like say a hemp protein, and then maybe almonds and sprouts, et cetera, which is kind of what I've turned Mark on to now to expand what he was doing by adding more ingredients. But you see, trace minerals then become really important as well. So I think vegan is a good approach. But the problem is, unless you really have the right protocol, you're absolutely robbing your body's potential to make muscle, et cetera. And he's the expert. Do you agree with that, Mark?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, because I was eating, it was a lot harder for me to put on muscle prior to just using the standard vegan diet. Absolutely. That I can attest to, yeah. Because you're getting an incomplete spectrum of amino acids, just like Peter said.
See, that's the challenge with it, okay? Not that it's bad. And, one of my famous statements is...
So it takes a little bit of planning, even when you plan your meals, because you want to get a balance. So you really... It's more of a thought process, the vegan lifestyle.
And so, what I say is, one of my famous quotes is, food will never be enough again, period. So if you go all vegan, that's great. I'm all for it. But you're still missing so many other things that used to be in food.
And the soil is so depleted. Am I correct, Peter?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you read that in my book.
Out of the vegetable, right?
Right. I mean, we've talked about it before on the show that UCLA did a study that a bowl of spinach in 1953, today, to equal the nutrition, not the calories, you'd have to eat 41 bowls of spinach. Hell, Popeye can't even eat 41 bowls of spinach, and that's what we're up against. And the thing is that really what the protocol is, okay, if you wanted to break it down, and Mark, I think you'll agree with this, it's about caloric restriction with intermittent fasting. Now that sounds great, but here's the problem. Because our food is so nutritionally bankrupt, all right, and let me say this, that is the strategy that most people have employed, the scientists, to say that's how you can live longer, healthier longer. But here's the fallacy. When you reduce the calories, you're also reducing the nutrients. My gosh, if you've got to eat 41 bowls of spinach today, can you imagine when we lower calories, how nutritionally deficient we are? The body goes into starvation mode and it stores fat.
Right.
And the intermittent fasting, see, all you have to do to detox, Steve, don't eat for 4 hours. You'll start detoxing. But you won't like how you feel because you don't have the nutrients that can pull the toxins apart that you're releasing from the body. So what you need is nutritional fasting, which is what I taught Mark how to do, which means we've got to get away from the concept even of a calorie. It's only what's in the calorie that matters. It's called nutritional density. So when you lower the calories, the secrets that we've sort of unveiled are that you can increase the nutrients, so now your body won't go into starvation mode, and then on a day when you're what you would call fasting, which is like very, very few calories, but massive amounts of nutrients, the body will use the fat for fuel, it will release the toxins, and because of all these nutrients, it'll pull the toxins apart, make them water soluble. That's what Mark's talking about when he's working out, and he recovers so fast, because this is also getting rid of lactic acid. This is a guy training for 20 years. To see this result in 2 or 3 weeks is mind-boggling. Right, Mark?
This is like off the chart.
Absolutely. It's not like I'm a novice trainer,
Right, it's not like you started yesterday. You're like a rookie. You're not a rookie.
Not a rookie at this.
So listen to this. I made the mistake of talking about this with my dentist while I was in his chair.
Now that's bad.
Don't ever. That was a very bad experience. Don't ever do that. And when I mentioned, detoxing.
Yes.
People have all these weird ideas.
Correct.
What are some of the things that you've heard that comes to people's minds when they hear detox?
Oh, well, drug rehab or alcohol rehab, right? I mean, really, when you hear detox, that's what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, and you think getting sick and going to the bathroom.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, the big one is...
as soon as I said that, he dismissed the whole thing.
Right over his head.
And I'm going like, and he was fixing my crown, and it started to hurt. So, I mean, don't do it.
I think what's so amazing about this, and why I'm so happy that Mark is on our show, is that our show is what? About awareness, okay? Mm-hmm. So now, who's going to argue with a guy like Mark Jenkins, this world-class trainer, the trainer to the stars, right? So he's not recommending anything to his stars that he doesn't do himself, right? Because this is his future.
Yeah.
So imagine when he's telling us that he experienced this in his own body, when he's running 8 miles in the morning just to get started, then he's doing jiu-jitsu and jumping rope and all these kinds of things. And despite doing that, he still couldn't get to where he has now gotten in a few weeks by simply adding this protocol to what he was doing. And he was doing everything perfect. This is a guy, he's doing organic. I mean, he's doing vegan. He's not drinking, smoking. I mean, whatever. The guy doesn't have time, number one, to do that. And look at the transformation in his life. It's just crazy. That's what I'm saying on our show. For the athletes out there, the people think, oh, well, I'm in good shape. Mark, what do you think? There's no way you believe they can get to these levels without this kind of these new nutritional technologies. Do you believe that?
Your body feels different. It's very hard to describe unless you experience it, but I could say that, I feel like my engine is running more efficiently. Yeah. So you're able to get more out of it. And until you experience that, when you get you really detox, because you totally feel a difference. Absolutely. Your performance goes up and everything. It's unbelievable.
And you're sleeping better and you have more focus and you feel like you're much more
sleeping better.
efficient.
I got my wife on the protocol. She's like, wow, I really feel it. It's awesome.
And she's a yoga instructor and was doing everything again. She thought she knew, right? I mean, isn't this what we're up against?
She's doing everything possible.
Right. And isn't this what we're up against? Even when I first met you, you knew a lot. And you were doing everything you thought you knew to get you in the best shape. But most importantly, like you said, it's really about wellness. It's not just about being in shape. It's also about being fit. I had a conversation. It was with a major doctor last night flying back on the plane. He is actually with the Cleveland Clinic. And he was talking about this very thing, that he has clients in their 20s that are runners, marathon runners, et cetera, that have high blood pressure, that have diabetes, that... it's not just, like you said, it's not just working out. Because you could be in incredible cardiovascular shape, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your wellness potential, that's the word I use, is at a maximum. And
Absolutely.
Do you feel that's what's changed with you now? You feel like your wellness potential's gone up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the best word, wellness potential. I think that sums it up.
So where are you going from here? Like, I'm just curious.
I'm going for my next photo shoot. What am I going to do? I'm going to try to get leaner than the last time.
Not after the show. I mean, in terms of your health.
Right now, got some DVD, TV projects. What am I doing today?
No, I'm talking about your health. Like, how much better can you be in shape? I mean, it's blowing my mind.
What he told me, it's crazy.
You never know. I mean, because I really thought at 44 I had really maxed. And I tell you, I'm getting some times since I've been doing this protocol. I've been getting some times on my 7-10 milers that I haven't had in decades.
Is that crazy?
No, yeah, and I'm 44 years old, so it definitely gave me a new train of thought. I said, wow, I can actually still be getting better and going to my 50s, 40s, and 50s.
And Mark, when we met, the latest week, he tells me, he says, well, look, this next photo shoot, he says, he's going to try to get down to 3% body fat, or 2. What were you saying, 2 or 3?
Well, I said, well, mathematically speaking, since I got so lean, my birthday came up and I ate some more. Ate some stuff, and I put on, it was carving up a little bit. And I said, but I still was leaner than when I initially started the last photo shoot prep. So I said, hey, man, I'm starting from a leaner set point. So it would stand to reason that I would be, around 3%, 4% when I finish my prep. So we'll see what happens.
Would you have even believed that was possible at 44 years of age?
Not that easy, not that painlessly, and not that quickly. And not with a benefit, because usually when you get that lean, using typical science that's out there, your joints start hurting, you don't feel good, you're very lethargic, it's a whole different thing. in single-digit body fat and still able to train hard and, and run, so it's a totally different experience.
Well, Mark, very important. I want, if you wouldn't mind, give our viewers your website. So I know you're coming out with a new DVD that I'm sure many of our viewers would be very interested in. Your movie.
Oh, yeah, got some real cool projects. If you want to get at me, it's markjenkinsfitness.com. MarkJenkinsFitness.com.
And so the movie that you're about to make now that we talked about this week. So
we don't want to talk about it too much. We don't want to talk about it
I know,
too much.
but no, but just can we talk at least about the title? I mean, do you know what you're going to call it? Or let's just say this.
We don't even have a title yet.
Okay. Can you just give us kind of a...
It's merging entertainment and health and fitness, and it's going to be something that really inspires people and entertains them at the same time with some great music. Is
that cool
awesome
or what?
That is cool.
That is cool.
Well, I'm inspired already just by watching you and listening to you for the last...
Well, hey, I hope to be sitting down with you guys in person next time we do this.
Oh, that would be great. And I mean, so my one of his celebrity clients, I'm not going to mention their name, but my son, my oldest son, Drew, is a big vinyl record collector, okay? And so I told him about Mark and this certain group, and he said, "Oh my gosh, Dad, that's one of my favorite groups." He said, "Do you think Mark could?" So I meet with Mark. I said, "Will you do this for me?" "What did you tell me, Mark?" He said, "I'll get the whole band to autograph it, right?"
Yes, try to get the whole band to sign it. Yeah, no problem. They'll be happy to sign it for fans, man. So it's not a problem. That's the least I can do.
Awesome. All right, so we started at $65 an hour, then it went to $30. Where are we today?
We don't want. We're at the point we don't want to disclose.
I knew it.
At the point where we don't want to talk about that.
We're embarrassed to disclose it. Which is what we were at 30.
Yeah, right.
Things are going well.
Okay, great. Absolutely fantastic.
That's why the DVD project is so important and I'm going to start teaching classic in New York City because I really want to do something that's accessible to everybody.
Well, I also, Mark, I want to touch on, and I think this is really an important thing. This is, I really, really admire him. Tell us what you're doing with children. I know in the D.C. area. We talked about it a little bit, but I really want the viewers to get the other side of you and how some of your plans to raise money to really help kids. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's important.
Oh, yeah, we have this, we have our nonprofit. It's called I Am Fit, my wife and I. My wife runs a nonprofit, and we just go into schools, and we go into schools with live DJs, and we work them out, and it's in conjunction with the United Way. They have a Fun, Fly, and Fit program, and we have a curriculum. We have a curriculum like Wednesday is Water Day, and the gear is branded. It says trust, teamwork, and we go into the schools, and we put them on a program. We do sit and reach, and we take measurements, and we educate the kids and work them out, and then test them afterwards. And they really they get a result, and they have fun with fitness because we got live DJ in there playing music, and it's a good program.
Well, Mark, how bad is the problem from your perspective? You're at ground zero. You're right there at the front lines with our kids in school. How bad is it?
I don't think anybody can really gauge how bad the problem is right now because there's so many factors involved. There's, a lot of these kids are not getting school lunch. A lot of them are having high glycemic breakfasts, and then combine that with a subpar education, and you're not even being able to absorb the education because you don't have enough nutrients. It's really going to be detrimental to the future. So I don't think you can tell how bad it is now. It's going to happen when these kids turn into adults and teenagers later on. That's when it's really going to become, because all of that stuff, it leads to those chemical imbalances because you're not growing up the nutrients in the first place. So it's a bigger problem than what people think. It's not just a kid being fat or being unhealthy. It's about, it could be about potentially having a productive member of society and not. Because what we tell the kids is to, get in shape, get yourself in the best shape, give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. And then whatever you want to do, go into it and affect change. But you need your health to do that. You need to be at your best.
So you're really life coaching as much as just getting kids in shape and getting them exercise. I would think you're a pretty big role model from them. I mean, from what I can see anyway. And
yeah, kids, they know who I'm. I can speak in a language that they understand.
Right.
I come from the same place they come from. They see me on TV training these celebrity clients, and they get it. And that's the whole thing. It's like I tell them, I say, hey, I'm living my dream, and I feel so honored to come back to you kids and speak to you guys. It's to inspire you, because I feel like I'm doing my job to get the future motivated. So I want to get you guys fired up.
Well,
changing the system and making it the way you like it. Because I tell the kids, the adults, we're not going to do it already because we're doing our adult thing. It's up to you guys to make it how you want.
Wow. Steve, I got a great idea. If Mark would be willing to do it, I'd love to have him on in about a month after his next photo shoot, and he could tell us how he did over the next was it about 3 to 4 weeks away, Mark?
I got like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to push it off a little bit more so I can get leaner. But, it's usually when they cut the line on me, because I just keep going. Say, I need another day, keep another day. But I think I have like 3 weeks, three hard weeks, 3, maybe 4.
But don't you think that would be amazing to have him back and he could tell us about how it worked and whatever?
And how do you measure body fat anyway?
You do it with either calipers, or you can do. Well, how are you measuring your body fat, Mark?
Calipers, you can do electronic. I'm using the electric right now. It's not the most accurate, but it registers an increase or decrease.
Wow.
But
we could measure it on the show.
I can switch to calipers, or maybe if I can find a tank somewhere. That's really the best, right?
Well, maybe what we could do is, if you'd be willing to come back on the show, because I think there's even more we could have probably covered. Because I'm sure Steve's going to tell me we're running out of time, right?
Yeah,
Is that
close?
Close.
Pretty close.
So, I'd love to have you back, Mark, and you could just kind of update our audiences about how it went over that period of time with your training and what happened. I think it would be a terrific model for people.
It'll be fun. It'll actually help keep me on it, so that's great.
Okay, well, you're on now, so we're absolutely going to have you back in a month or whenever you're ready for that next photo shoot. And then, of course, we'll want the after picture from the photo shoot, right? Because you're already starting with the 8-pack, so I don't know where it's going from there, right?
That's what I'm waiting to see. I can't
Is there such thing as a dozen pack?
I don't know. If anybody can do it, it's probably Mark.
I don't know.
But I'm imagining
I'm going to borrow a few.
I should at least be as lean as I was, but probably a lot more muscular.
Wow.
Yeah. So since we were talking about kids, I'm curious about your own. You have 3 beautiful kids.
Right.
How much of this stuff that you're doing and you're up to are, kind of fizzling down to them?
I go to their school and I train their children. They like to bike. They like to work out. If you force it on a kid, they don't want to do it immediately. They want to do something else. So, we're real cool about it as parents. We rotate. One summer they might do gymnastics, and next summer we have them ice skating. We just try to see what they like. We don't really make them repeat anything unless they say, hey, I want to keep doing that.
Wow.
And I just make it fun for them. Both of my daughters are pretty much vegan, although the 7-year-old, she'll sneak some chicken. I think the grandparents give her chicken, which is the in-laws, Southern, they don't like that. They're like, you're vegan? So I think, but for the most part, they're like 90% vegan, so they eat pretty clean, pretty healthy.
What about your boy? He looks almost like you.
He's he's 6'4", 6'5".
Oh, my God.
And his voice is lower than mine. He's like, hey, Dad.
How old is he?
Last year, I was just able to squeak a victory in one-on-one. I don't think this year, every year we do a little one-on-one basketball. I think it's a wrap for me this year.
You're done.
But he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty well. I'm waiting to see who wants to learn the family business and get into training or fitness. But, I don't want to force it. So nobody's really mentioned anything yet. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Mark, one last thing that I'd like to ask you, based on your experience, et cetera, and, what I sort of added to your, toolbox, if you were talking to athletes out there, you told me this week, you said, I really was looking for more than what I was doing. I was looking for a protocol that was even more expansive. But do you believe now, based on your experience, that it's almost, well, you told me, you said, I didn't think anything like this would even exist, that it was even possible. Do you feel comfortable saying that to the athletes that are watching this now, that they adopt this protocol, obviously
absolutely.
With exercise?
I would say to the athletes, you owe it to yourself, especially if you're a professional athlete or you're really serious about your performance. You owe it to yourself to give it a try and just notice what happens to your performance. Just give it a try. It couldn't kill you to try it. Try it for 30 days, and if your performance doesn't improve, then it's not for you. But I guarantee you that will not be the case.
The only way it doesn't work is if you don't do it, right?
If you don't do it, absolutely, absolutely, that's the truth.
It's kind of like joining the gym. You don't get in shape with the membership. You actually have to go,
you
right?
have to
Right,
actually
Mark?
As athletes, you'll find all, just like I did, I discovered a lot of ways that I could actually use my training to enhance the effect of the protocol and turn it into something. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, I went back on the protocol and I lost 10 pounds, but I feel embarrassed because I feel really small. In comparison to Mark, it's like, what am I going to talk about?
Well, we all do, trust me. I force him to keep his shirt on when I'm around him.
Yeah, but you won't be able to do that after 3 or 4 weeks. I'll be like, hey, what's going on?
I know one thing we didn't have. Well, there's several things we didn't have time to talk about, but there's one thing I want you to mention before we complete the show, which is you get to travel all over the world with all these entertainers. What's the most incredible place? Because I like travel myself too. What's the most incredible place that you've been to?
Gosh, there's so many. I couldn't name one place. There's so many, you know. And
go ahead and rub it in.
Unique to that place. I liked Thailand, Kuala Lumpur. You know, China, Singapore, Germany. I had a good time, and I'm all over the place. You know, so it's really hard to say.
Steve, Mark has a pretty good life.
That was a nice one. South Africa was an incredible experience. Japan was incredible. I've been in Japan several times. You know, really been blessed to be around the world, and
Mark,
thankful to my clients.
We can wrap up.
Okay.
All right, so you've been really fantastic, Mark. Thank you very much.
Gosh.
We're at the end of the show, and I just want to make sure that I mention to all of viewers, if you hear anything today from Peter and also from Mark that touched, moved, and inspired you, please go to thenewhealthconversation.tv and engage with us. You can leave us all kinds of messages on all the pages and all the shows, and continue to keep watching, and also come back to us on PBS, because this show, as many other shows that have been on PBS, will continue to be on PBS. And I love you all. I mean, I love this conversation, the New Health Conversation TV. Thank you all for being here. See you next time.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Was killing myself with the food I eat, toxic to my health, till I got the news. There's another path that I could choose.